We have another NBA draft report to talk about. I am DJ Eastwood. That is NZ for 3. Thank you for being here. We're going to discuss the rumors, the possibilities, the trade situations. We are 15 days away from the NBA draft. It can't come soon enough. And this is brought to you by Mando full body deodorant. In the wintertime, it's easy to hold up inside, but in the summer, we're going outside and we're staying out longer. I'm getting back into pickup basketball. I'm getting back into running, trail running, all those types of things. I need 72-hour protection, and that is why I use Mando. Mando is safe to use anywhere on your body. Mando's starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice, like mini body wash and deodorant wipes. I prefer the spray on. Easy peasy. Focus. A special offer for listeners. New customers get $5 off your starter pack with our exclusive code SICKOS. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack at shopmando.com. shopmando.com. Please support our show. Tell them we sent you. Smell fresher, stay drier, and boost your confidence from head to toe with Mando. NZ, what is up, my friend?
Nothing much, Eastwood. Just anticipating the NBA draft. It felt like a month ago, dude, that we were going crazy that the Sixers even kept their pick in the first place. And now the draft is coming up pretty quick, and I'm excited, man. Seems like it's finally a new chapter, in the Sixers history right here with this draft.
Yeah, definitely. That was not a month ago. When was that?
May 12th, my birthday.
May 12th. Yeah, it was almost, it was 3 days. It'll be a month ago. So yeah, this is like the slowest time, I feel like, for me, because of the anticipation. Once you get into the middle of the summer and then you get through summer league and everything, like July and September are slow. I know that. But this is like that limbo period where the NBA finals are happening. You had the draft lottery, and now we wait for the NBA draft. Also, we haven't been like hyped for an NBA draft in a while because we haven't sucked as bad as we did last season for a long time. But yeah, this is like a period of like, damn, dude, like, can we just get to the draft? And we're almost there, man. We're almost there.
We are almost there. I kind of feel the opposite. Like once you get through like free agency, like the initial blast of free agency where, like multiple guys are being signed at the same time, then 2 days later you get another round or something, and then like a week after it's just dead silence, just nothing. And then it's like that period between sort of like the tail end of free agency and like the beginning of like training camp that it just drags on for so long. But yeah, the lead up to the draft has been going really fast for me, and I'm really excited. Just the fact that the Sixers, number one, I think we just, even if like, everyone loves to debate on who we're going to pick, if they're going to trade or not, let's just be grateful that we got the pick back in the first place. Imagine what we would be talking about if we did not get that draft pick. And, Sixers fans have already been getting kicked, when they were down throughout this entire season. And the fact that we have the opportunity to either draft a, really good prospect or at least trade up or trade down and whatever, get some good value and start building towards the future is really relieving.
Yeah, man, that's the thing, man. If as a content creator also, if we weren't even able to talk about the draft, it's really rough to just be like, all right, season ended early, see ya in 8 months. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm personally in my personal life trying to get better at my Sixers off time. Like, but it's like, I don't know, maybe it's just in my blood. I just don't like it. I'm like, fuck. Let's get back to the NBA season. Yo, shout out to Za for becoming a new member of the channel, and shout out to Daniel Wren for becoming a member of the channel. Welcome to Sicko Nation. Thank you guys so much for the support. Before we get into the trade talk, we have a quote from Geurschon Yabusele that we got to talk about because, it's been a topic of discussion for Sixers fans for a while now on, can the 76ers bring back Geurschon Yabusele? Will he test free agency? Will he take whoever gives him the most money? I've kind of had the same take the whole time, which is he took a gamble on himself coming over here from the Euro League. It cost him $900,000 around there out of his pocket to get out of his contract in Real Madrid to even come back to the NBA, and he signed for a minimum. So it's in his best interest to get a payday, obviously. And here is the quote from Geurschon Yabusele on an interview by Cairo Asio of Hoops Hype. He said they asked him, the Sixers want to re-sign you. What factors will decide if you stay or return to... Well, wait, what? What factors will decide if you stay or return to Europe? Did he actually ask him that? I didn't even...
I guess.
That's the first time I actually read the question. He's not going back to Europe, dipshit. What are you talking about? Okay. What factors will decide if you stay or return to... I feel like they typed that wrong. That can't be the question. But anyway... Here's what he said. We will see those options also with the upcoming summer when we're going to know a little bit of what's going on. I know the Sixers are going to look to change some pieces in the roster, so you have to wait also to see what's going to happen. But the draft's going to set everything pretty much up for every team to know where they're going with the trades and stuff like that. I guess we'll see soon, but I'm pretty excited. It's going to be my first time really enjoying free agency, especially in the NBA, aka it's going to be my first time looking at a lot of money. It's going to be my first time really enjoying free agency, especially in the NBA. I'm pretty excited to hear the offers, to see what's going on, to see the movement. Yeah, Geurschon's up out of here, bro.
He's gone, bro. He is so gone. I mean, like, I'm by no means necessarily an NBA cap expert. And I think like there are some scenarios where the Sixers can actually manage to get Yabu back. But for how impressive he was this season, given that the Sixers were a complete joke, you know what I mean? No reason to really try whatsoever with all the injuries, all the stupid coaching decisions, all the, just the roster construction being so brain dead. Like, for Yabu to go out there the entire season, really just play his ass off, man. Like, for real. Like, he was going out there every single night, giving it his all, and, being a really productive role player. And I think what stood out to everybody the most, or the biggest question for him, was if he was willing or had the ability to space the floor. Because when he was coming to the league, he was just, really raw, like have that athleticism, but, really didn't come into his own yet until he came back, and now he's a really good stretch four. And the Sixers, they could use him to come back, especially, if they want to compete further and, try and make a run at a championship. But this all reminds me of Nico Batum, man. I think it's too good to be true. I mean, Nico Batum, yeah, he didn't put up the counting stats, but everyone who watched the game, we know that like he is one of the best role players Joel Embiid ever played with, by far. Just his IQ, his ability to see the floor, get to his positions, anticipate passes and stuff like that. He was a really smart defender, kind of like sneaky athletic too. And that shooting form of his, just buttery smooth, one of the most beautiful shot forms I've ever seen. And Embiid was like, "Yo, you're gonna come back here." And then he goes dip. He was like, "Nah, dude, I'm going back to LA." And I feel like with Yabu, it's kind of like the same thing. In fact, let's not forget that Nico Batum, he actually put in a good word to Yabu about Philly. And it seems like Yabu really does like Philly, but at the end of the day, it is a business, and he is a really attractive player.
Yeah, I agree with that, man. The first thing is just how hard he plays, man. You're absolutely right. There was no real reason for anybody to go out there and give 150,000% like that guy did. Diving on the fourth quarter, down by 49 points, still diving out of bounds, still just hustling, and just a guy that just played with a chip on his shoulder, man. And like, after years of watching guys that didn't have a chip on their shoulder because they were either paid in the shade or they just never cared anyway, it was so nice to see guys like that on this team just give 100% every time they're on the floor. So I love that about Yabusele. You're absolutely right. His shooting was a surprise for everyone. I had been saying leading up to the season that he was a 40% three-point shooter in the EuroLeague, but everybody was kind of just watching his old NBA highlights, is his 2019 Celtics tenure, and he looked more like just a backup center at the time when he was on Boston. Looks like a completely different player now. And yeah, he stretched the floor just at a 40% 3-point shooting. I loved his effort, and I would love for him to come back also. I don't really know what he's worth. You know what I mean? I don't know what teams are going to offer him. His numbers aren't crazy. It depends how closely teams really watched him on the Sixers and how they scouted him. I also hope that Nick Nurse's like play of him didn't kind of hurt his free agency, because Nick Nurse put him in situations that might have made him look a lot worse than he actually is, especially defensively.
A center. Like he's a center. I mean,
He's
but the
a
fact that, like,
6'8" center.
yeah, like, I mean, like the fact that he was so well received by Philly fans despite being in the worst situation. Like, imagine how beloved he would be, you know, if the Sixers were actually competing and he could just play his role. But yeah, I mean, like, for what I've heard, given the scenarios of re-signing him, it all comes down to like managing like the mid-level exception. But I don't think that's going to be enough to re-sign him when you have all these other teams who might have a little bit more cap flexibility and are looking to add some more depth, especially when it comes to a gritty guy who can, you know, dive for loose balls, shoot, drive to the basket from time to time. I mean, Yabu, he's like a bulky guy, but he's still super athletic, you know, can really slam the ball, and he just does a lot of the dirty work for your team, and that's something that's really valuable, especially to a lot of playoff contenders.
Yeah, so the non-taxpayer mid-level exception this year is $14 million. And I feel like he's right around there. I don't think he's gonna get like 20 plus. You know what I mean? Yeah. But the Sixers also have to look at Quentin Grimes, and if they want to re-sign him. Also, the number 3 pick in the draft is automatically an $11 million player. There's that too.
Right.
You know what I mean? So there's a lot that goes into figuring out how much you can offer Geurschon Yabusele. But ultimately, I don't feel like it's going to be 14, and I feel like he's probably going to get offered more than that. He's probably going to, you know, skedaddle.
Yeah, I thought the mid-level was I thought that was lower than that. I didn't know it was 14. I mean, yeah, like 14, 15, like that is sort of in his range. But if he's looking, I think a team will offer him a more lucrative contract, because I think he was just that, like, I don't think teams really, like, I think he really met expectations or like past expectations.
Now, on the other side of it, I'm not like super upset if he walks away. I loved what he did. I love that he plays hard. I liked watching him play, but also for me, he doesn't really check boxes of the Sixers' top needs, which is rebounding and interior defense. You know, he's not really much of a rebounder. He's not really much of a defender. So I don't think it's the end of the world if he goes. I know Sixers fans are going to be sad to see him go, but there's also that. Will the Sixers pay him that money? But also, should they actually be interested in looking elsewhere anyway, because their main issues are something that he's not that great at. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah, but I mean, you could always use that floor spacing, and we don't really know the full outlook just yet if there are any other options at power forward that they are looking at, because the power forward position, that has always been such a huge need for them. Just the lack of rebounding, just the lack of size and any sort of leaping ability whatsoever. The Sixers just have not had that. And yeah, Yabu is, 6'8", but I feel like if the Sixers, if they could find any other alternatives, sure. But I kind of do agree. Like, he's not like I'm not going to say like a must keep player, but I mean, he's a nice player to have for sure. But I think there are a lot of other needs the Sixers need to address first before sort of kind of like filling in those pieces, like, what Yabu gives you.
Yeah, so Za says some teams will offer him 8.5. We can only offer 5.7. So the Sixers are the taxpayer mid-level exception at the 5.7, not the non-taxpayer mid-level exception at 14 million. But also, Josh Harris is known to be the luxury tax duck. So he always tries to get under the luxury tax, but yeah, if the Sixers are at 5.7, then I definitely think he's going to get more than that.
For sure.
and he's going to take every dollar he can get. He doesn't, a lot of people do the whole like, what if he wants to be loyal because he appreciates that they took a chance on him? And I'm like, nah, he's getting his money, man.
Yeah, I mean, after being kicked out of the NBA or being cut and for that long, and then you come all the way back and you have a really good season, just completely surpass expectations. Of course, you're going to try and get that bag. And I wish I wish the Sixers would have a better cap situation, but I just think realistically he's going to go somewhere else.
Yeah, they had a good cap situation. It felt like it lasted about 6 days, and then they went and did it again, and now 93% of their cap is 3 players. Once again, the prowess of the legendary Daryl Morey. Davon, see if we can get Jake LaRavia with that $5 million. Yeah, I don't know. They're going to do a lot of things with money. There's going to be a lot of things to talk about throughout the offseason with the cap situation and the money and what they should do with players and whatnot. Yeah, let's get over to the draft rumors. Our boy Brett Siegle of Clutch Points dropped something today. Yeah, there it is. And, it's leading up to the draft. We're kind of just rewording the same thing every day. I understand what these reporters are doing. Viewers probably understand what I'm doing, reacting to it just because it's something to react to. But when I go find the actual context of it and the actual article and the quotes, there's some interesting things to think about because these people they were at the draft combine. These are guys that are talking to maybe not directly to executives, but they're around and they're hearing things. So there is some merit to it. And Brett Siegle says Philadelphia has already been in contact with several organizations inquiring about the 3rd pick in this year's draft. We've been getting rumors that teams obviously are going to try to trade up for number 3. That doesn't mean the Sixers are going to do it. But I guess this is an update that the 76ers have answered the phone on some calls on the number 3 pick. And again, I don't think that's anything crazy. I think you should answer the phone. If somebody's going to offer you a haul, you're going to listen to the offers at least. I ultimately feel like the Sixers drafted Ace Bailey at number 3, and we're gonna have talked about possibilities for a whole month when we really knew what was going to happen. I hope that's what happens too. There is a trade that I would be down for that we'll talk about a little bit later. But yeah, what is your initial reaction to Philadelphia has been in contact with several organizations inquiring about the 3rd pick in this year's draft?
I mean, yeah, I'm not really surprised either. I mean, just look at that draft board. I don't think anybody expected the Dallas Mavericks or the Spurs to be, in the top 3. And a lot of these teams, like the Hornets, like the Pelicans, like the Nets, the Raptors too, they got really bad positioning. Like the ping pong balls did not fall in their way. And yeah, it wouldn't make sense for them to try and trade up and get to a position where they thought they would be in the first place. And look, I mean, there are some really good players that I think the Sixers could trade for with that number 3 pick, but it all really depends at the end of the day, because I don't think, just by drafting a player, whether it's Ace Bailey, VJ Edgecombe, or whatever, you're doing the right thing. You know what I mean? Like, this is a good draft class. A lot of very interesting prospects. And, for the Sixers, you need another pillar, another foundational piece for your future when you're leading with Tyrese Maxey and Jared McCain. But I guess it kind of depends on the Sixers mindset, because we know Daryl Morey's a win now type of GM. So who knows, man, if he's going to do something where he could trade number 3 and maybe get more of kind of like a win now type of player in addition to the 7th pick and try and build out some more depth on the roster. Who knows? But I mean, yeah, I don't think, Daryl Morey, he's been like super inconsistent. I mean, we all know like all those player interviews and, James Harden's tirade and everything, that Daryl Morey, you can't really trust what he says. Now, I do trust that he's going to make the right decision, because we do know that by draft time, Daryl Morey does know what he's doing. But this makes me even more excited, man, because I really don't know what is going to happen. I mean, Cooper Flagg and Dylan Harper, that's like set. but the NBA draft is really going to start at number 3 with the Sixers.
Yeah, and I would prefer if they're going to draft a player to draft Ace Bailey at number 3, because I think you're right. Number 1 and 2 is set. Number 3 to 6, I feel like, are all guys with high upside, but I feel like Ace Bailey has the highest upside of those guys. And if you're going to just draft a guy, I feel like you're taking Ace at 3 just because of his higher upside of being 6'9", 210, 18 years old. Somebody in the chat said he has a lot of flaws. Yes, he is 18 years old. That's kind of why, it's if he was 22, if it was a Mikal Bridges situation, if he was a 4-year senior, you're like, oh, this guy is who he is. He's not really going to change much. And has he changed much in the NBA? He kind of was what he was at Villanova. So, but when a guy's 18, the potential is limitless for his development. And I think you just take Ace Bailey. But yeah, I am kind of nervous because Daryl Morey is that win now guy. And I also think he should be interested in, I'm a little bit scared that his ego is going to play too much of a role here, because he wants to prove to everybody that the team that he put together can win. You know what I mean? Not just save his own job, not just get it together so he doesn't get fired. Because even if he does get fired, I think he can. It's not like he'll be done doing this job forever. He'll get hired somewhere else. Nobody's like, oh, you got fired from the Sixers who went 5 and 9,000. But I just think that his ego might get in the way, because I think he might want to prove that this Paul George, Joel Embiid thing can win a championship. I think he actually still believes it can win a championship. And if healthy, they can win a championship. The problem is they're not healthy. Embiid's never healthy. So, yeah, I just have a little bit of a fear that he will try to do something to get more of a win now player than an 18-year-old Ace Bailey. You know what I'm saying? And that doesn't necessarily mean Kevin Durant or somebody like that, but somebody more in like the 25, 26-year-old range, more of a developed player that could help you right away. And there are certain players in scenarios that I wouldn't hate.
For Daryl Morey, he's going to listen to offers. He's going to, play hardball. And just to play devil's advocate a little bit, I think, this is a great situation for Morey in particular, because, he likes to ask for big packages. And in, the Tobias Harris situation, no one was taking him seriously when he was asking for like Evan Mobley and stuff like that. Like Morey, he had, we could say all we want about him, but he really was not given a good situation coming out of the jump in Philly. And I think the fact that there are so many teams that are kind of desperate, if you think about it, like going back to, the fact that the Nets and the Pelicans and all these teams that we thought would be in the top 5 are not, and they're at, in lower in the lottery. So if these teams are desperate enough for a top pick, Morey can kind of say, all right, yeah, we'll give you that pick, but you really got to give us the best offer. Otherwise, he did say that they would draft a player, but I feel like in this case it does work, since there's a massive incentive for these teams to give up some good assets if it means that they can get another franchise cornerstone. But yeah, I keep kind of jumping back and forth on Ace Bailey, but I think his upside is real as a legit scorer, and I think a lot of what people critique him for, I think that is stuff that can be fixed with situation and just development, because he is 18 years old, and Rutgers is going to be is a different situation than the Sixers, who are structured, at least if healthy. What I mean by structure is that they're trying to compete for a playoff spot. You know what I mean? It's not like a lot of these rookies, they get drafted, they're starting, and they're chucking up a bunch of shots. You know what I mean? Like their shot diets are all out of whack from the jump. But, when you come in, 18 years old, you're going to be playing a minimized role. So you sort of get to learn the flow, the physicality of the NBA and work from there. And I think that's a really good foundation. And he does fit a huge positional need for the Sixers. And that is a stretch for who plays hard. And I think Ace Bailey does have those intangibles. Is it going to take a while for him to develop? Definitely. But it kind of depends. Like, are you personally in the mindset of the Sixers either trying to continue to compete or going for a full-scale rebuild? Because to be 100% honest, I want to tear it all down. I'm so done with the process and Embiid and Paul George. I know they both have negative trade value, but they need to start over. And I think picking Ace Bailey, having him run alongside Maxime McCain, that does make the most sense, unless there is an offer that is just too good to pass up. But I mean, yeah. I don't know.
Just pick Ace. Just pick Ace. That's how I feel, man. I think it's the safest bet. What Brett actually said in this mock draft, here it is. He said, the 76ers have a big decision to make, one that will undoubtedly impact their future given the uncertainty surrounding Joel Embiid and Paul George. This is a blessing in disguise for the Sixers unless they take the wrong prospect. And yeah, we could talk all we want about Daryl Morey and his signings, but he's been amazing at the draft. He's been nailing it at the draft. He's been finding guys in the second round. He's been, Isaiah Joe should still be here. We don't want to talk about that, but he's been great. He's been great at drafting. And so I do have faith in Daryl Morey in the draft. I don't think he's ever been this high in a draft because he's never been the GM of a team that tanked and ended up with the number 3 overall pick. Yep. Ace Bailey is the name everyone has linked to Philadelphia since the draft order was set. He is undoubtedly one of the top players in the draft due to his athleticism, confidence, and scoring abilities. At the same time, Bailey isn't everyone's favorite, as some have cited concerns about his maturity and willingness to not be the guy wherever he is drafted. He just played at Rutgers alongside Dylan Harper, another elite-level talent, and his tape speaks for itself. This is why there's such a big argument about where he will ultimately end up on draft night. The Sixers are also evaluating VJ Edgecombe, Trey Johnson, Kaman Maluach, and Con Kneppel in this spot. Yeah, I agree. I think those are the 4 other guys that are there. I think the draft order isn't going to be too... the order might be shocking, but I think the top 5 guys are the top 5 guys, or the top 6. I think these... Maluach, Trey Johnson, Edgecombe, Ace Bailey, Harper, what's his name? Number 1, Duke.
Cooper
Flag. How do I forget his name? But yeah, I think those are going to be the top 6 unless somebody does something crazy. The conversation of whether the Sixers should trade this pick is also very relevant at this time, and such a move would completely alter the entire 2025 NBA draft. I want to say about Ace Bailey too. You had a point about some of the negative things that people say about him. I think that his air quotes bad shooting or bad shot selection, I personally love that from an 18-year-old because it tells me he has a killer instinct. He has a willingness to go get it done. And yeah, he might not be developed to the point at 18 years old where he, is making the smartest decision in certain situations and shooting over double teams and putting up bad attempts. But there's been a lot of great players in NBA history who took bad shots because their confidence level was just that high. And a lot of guys, this is a bad shot for a lot of guys. The Steph Curry, like, no, yes. It's a bad shot for a lot of guys. It's a good shot for him. Maybe he gets to the point where, hey, that's a bad shot for most players. But that's a good shot for a guy that's 6'9" and can shoot over everybody. You know what I mean? So I don't take any of that too seriously. I love his confidence. I think he has a killer instinct at a young age, and I think he can learn a lot, man. And I'm also happy that Kaman Maluach's name is thrown in there too, because I think the Sixers should be looking at him too. Yeah, no.
How many times have we seen guys on the Sixers or the Sixers offense just be so stagnant because nobody would even shoot? I mean, Matisse Thybulle and PJ Tucker come right to the top of my head when it comes to that, when guys just who are afraid to shoot. Ben Simmons, we all know about that, but guys who just don't have that confidence to shoot in the first place, like, just shoot. Like, I mean, yeah, if the shot clock is running down and, nothing's going on within the offense and you're getting clamped or whatever, yeah, I mean, yeah, you could take a tough shot, but guys who are just have the willingness to take things into their own hands at times and just take a wide open 3. I mean, we have had so many guys on the Sixers who aren't willing to do that, who just don't have that confidence and who are just sort of just non-shooters and specialists. But I think with Ace Bailey, like, when it comes to his situation in Rutgers, because I think when we look at these draft prospects, we got to look at the situation they're in and, make our best estimate as to how that is going to apply in, for whatever team they get drafted to. So, I mean, like Ace Bailey, he was the guy at Rutgers. And I think he had was among the most leading like the Big Ten and like shot attempts. So Rutgers, they didn't have many scoring options at all other than Ace Bailey. So of course he was taking up a lot of the shots. Who else did you want to shoot? And yeah, he does have, I think, with Ace, I think a lot of it has to do with his handle and his passing and not really recognizing when to kick out and recognizing all that stuff. But then again, just with, development and time and experience, I think that stuff can be fixed. It's not like his jump shot is broken or anything, or he's just not efficient at all. I think you just got to look at the situation. I think in Philly, it's probably the best situation for him to go to. It's a structured team. If fans are really thinking that NBA coaches are going to allow Ace to take bad shot after bad shot and just think that he is the number one guy off the jump, I think that is, a little bit exaggerated. He will have a minimized role, probably off the bench. I really don't think Nick Nurse is going to be starting him, given what we know about, Nick Nurse and his schemes. But yeah, I think he's going to be playing a minimized role, probably as a spot up shooter at first. And if Embiid gets injured, or kind of when he gets injured at this point, yeah, maybe he'll take a little bit, of a bigger role. I hope Nick Nurse will, give him some time that we can watch him, and at least enough of a good sample size to say, yeah, this translated well from Rutgers, this didn't, but he definitely has, is showing some promise. So I think when it comes to the handle and the passing, I much rather have those be some improvement areas rather than him just having a busted jump shot, from the jump and just kind of being a complete black hole on offense. And yeah, he's not it's not as bad as fans are saying. I'm not the biggest Ace Bailey fan, but if there's one thing that I can admit as I've been continuing to watch him is just how willing he is to move off ball and shoot off ball. We have so many guys in the NBA who just stand around and do nothing, but he's actually willing to cut, make that extra pass and spot up and shoot. And I think that's something the Sixers could use.
Yeah, man, I agree. Yeah, you bring him slow off the bench. You let him be a guy that just comes in and can play in the bench lineups and be a shooter, and let him develop over time. Yeah, I don't think I know some guys in the chat. We had this argument last week or so about if Ace is drafted, he's going to start. I agree with your Nick Nurse point. I don't think Nick Nurse is going to start an 18-year-old no matter what. I also don't think that's the best thing for Ace Bailey is for him to be in a starting lineup. But also it is a perfect situation for him because even outside of the Joel Embiid and Paul George era, he's still, I don't think, 2-3 years from now, if McCain and Maxey are still on this roster, he's still not the number one go-to guy. So he still gets to ease into it and not have a whole bunch of pressure on him and develop slowly. And I think it's the best situation for him. I think it's the best pick for the Sixers, and I think that's what's going to happen. But shout out to our guy Brett Siegle for a little talking point there. Brian Pumper, thank you for the super chat. Draft Ace at number 3. Draft Adu Thero at number 35. And if you want a VJ Edgecombe role player type, just sign Dennis Smith Jr. This is easy.
Dennis Smith Jr. We went from fans comparing VJ to Chris Dunn. Now he's Dennis Smith Jr.
Listen, VJ Edgecombe's upside is crazy too. I think right now, at 19 years old, 6'5", $180, VJ Edgecombe is worlds better than Dennis Smith Jr., who is no longer in the NBA. And Dennis Smith Jr. is only 27 years old. He could still sign with an NBA team. Maybe he should still be on an NBA roster. There's something about Dennis Smith Jr. that coaches don't like. I never watched him closely. I never watched him close enough to really pick that out. But I think undersized and probably not a good enough shooter or facilitator to, probably, I would assume, a bad defender. Am I wrong about that? Dennis Smith Jr.?
I think his defense is his biggest strength, but he just can't shoot at all.
He's 6'3",
I think he shoots
right?
I think 6'3" or something. I'm looking at it right now. 6'2", according to Basketball Reference. And this season he shot, or last season, he didn't get to play this year. He 29% from 3 on 2 attempts. So can't space the floor, undersized. VJ Edgecombe, he's like 6'5".
Dennis Smith Jr. 6'2", Ben Simmons.
Yeah, like he's like the Raul Neto's of Shake Milton's.
Anyway, I cut you off. What were you saying?
Like VJ Edgecombe, I don't think he's going to be just a role player. I mean, yeah, he definitely has those things that you want in a role player, a scrappy defender, someone who, a 3-and-D type of, wing/guard, combo guard type of player who is a complete freak athlete. I mean, just his ability to jump out of the gym is just jaw-dropping. But he's really good offensively too. Like, yeah, he does have issues when it comes to pull-up shooting and finishing at the rim, but he is willing to attack the rim, has a nice first step, good catch and shoot player. I think he has like the exact same volume and 3-point percentage as Ace Bailey at like 4.5 attempts per game, and good free throw shooter as well. Decent, secondary playmaker, can get downhill, can run in transition. That's something the Sixers never had, can defend in transition. Mm-hmm. And, when you think about having, pairing a feisty defensive player with a lot of offensive upside as well, pairing that next to Tyrese Maxey, that is really intriguing. And I'm fine if they draft VJ Edgecombe, to be honest. Like, I understand if they do. That sort of signals to me that, one, they're really confident in him, and two, like, you have all these guards, so I don't really know how that's going to play into Quentin Grimes coming back. But everyone's going to say we have too many guards, but I think that's a good problem to have, because like do you really expect the Sixers, given Embiid's injury problems and Paul George just not panning out at all, do we really expect them to really compete for a championship? I feel like this is a huge transition for the Sixers, and I guess it depends on what they do in the draft. Like, it's just a clear signal, given that we've been doing this process thing for so long now. What makes you think that this is going to be the year, when we said it was the year before that, and the year before that, and the year before that?
Yeah, I mean, Sixers fans are so out right now, man. They're like, the fan base is really going to have to know if Joel Embiid is healthy. There's not going to be, it's not going to be able to be this like vague ass like. And by the way, we were supposed to get an update in 6 weeks. It's been over 8 weeks now, so it's already starting. The vagueness, the lack of reporting, the leaving the fans in the dark is already starting with it. But they're not going to be able to get away with that this offseason, man. To get this fan base to buy into this team, they're going to have to know that Joel Embiid is healthy. Not this whole like, oh, he's ramping up, let us call Josh and see if he wants us to tell you what's going on. And he's on a yacht in the Mediterranean, and he's like, nah, don't fucking tell those people anything, man. I already got my money. Just give me my money. I feel like this is the pinnacle year for this Embiid era. I
feel like we said that like 2 years ago when we re-signed hard.
We do say it every year, but
we say it every year.
But how long can they get away with it? You know what I mean? Like,
I think this is it. I think they're screwed. Like, dude, the
like
ticket prices
to a movie. It's like a sequel to a movie. John Wick 4. Can they really make a John Wick 5? Are they really going to keep stretching it out? Is Stranger Things going to have 18 seasons? Everything ends at some point.
It's like Sharknado. That movie franchise is just so trash, where there are so many of them. It's just like the Sixers, bro. They are the Sharknado equivalent.
The Sixers are Sharknado, where nobody wanted the first movie. And they're like, here's a sequel.
This time it might actually be worth watching.
It's in the $3 bin at Walmart in the DVD. That might be too old. I don't know if you guys know what that is. People buy DVDs anymore. But what do we got? Just draft Ace. Every time you go win now, we whiff. That is true. That is very true.
Facts right there.
Trading Bailey isn't good for me. Need a future power forward. And I think he's not a traditional power forward. He's a modern power forward. He's maybe he's more of a small forward than a power forward. I don't know. We'd have to see what he looks like in the NBA, and we'd have to see what he plays like when he gains a little weight, I think. Or maybe he doesn't. Maybe he's a Kevin Durant style player. I don't know. But yeah, I agree. I don't think they should trade him. But we're going to get to a scenario that I wouldn't hate. VJ is Christian Brown meets Russell Westbrook. That is a high comparison to put on a draft prospect, but if the Sixers would draft VJ and he was Christian Brown mixed with Russell, are we talking prime Russell Westbrook? Or are we talking
like MVP,
triple double,
Hall of Famer, first ballot? I mean, I know Russell Westbrook is like a joke and all of that, but he was really good in his prime, and I think like you do see that with VJ just for the fact that he's a just like freak athlete and all of that, but he could actually shoot. You could you can watch him and check his stats. He is a capable shooter.
And you're right. That's what's nice about this draft. All these guys can shoot, So it's not one of these guys that's like he's a freak athlete, but he has a busted jump shot, but we're going to develop him. And every time a dude has a broken jump shot, it just seems like nothing ever happens. He always has a broken jump shot. And we're always trying to, Matisse Thybulle, Jaden Springer, Zaire Smith, and then we'll start watching videos. We'll be like, this guy hit a three, and then we're like celebrating that a guy made a 3-pointer, which is ridiculous. Which we
Ben
never should have done in the
Simmons
first
summer
place.
workout videos.
Yeah,
pull us in every single time.
I remember there's Zaire Smith in the back of the gym hitting threes, and we're like, oh, he can shoot, and we're just like, no. Just tired of that. So it's nice that all these players in the top of this draft can shoot. And that's a great building block because everything else can be developed. But if you can't shoot, that's the hardest thing to develop. You end up like Dennis Smith Jr. Never develops a shot. He's 27 years old and is already out of the NBA. Let's get to, was there another super chat I wanted to read? No. Let's get to, one more thing here. It is shout out to 389 people in here. Thank you for hanging out. Hit the like button for your boys. NZ for 3, run it back Philly, and we're gonna be collabing all off season to keep the content coming when it is far and few and far between. Is that the saying? Okay. This was from Sixers Galaxy earlier today, and it was from Kevin O'Connor on the Kevin O'Connor Show. The New Orleans Pelicans like Ace Bailey. I think a lot of teams like Ace Bailey, so I don't think that's really a news drop. But and could attempt to trade up with the Sixers to acquire the 3rd overall pick. Kevin O'Connor says, I've heard the Pelicans at number 7 like Ace Bailey. Joe Dumars is there. Sounds like he really likes Ace. Could try to trade up to number 3 with Philly or number 4 with Charlotte. That, to me, is the best case scenario for the Sixers if you trade down 4 spots. That would be the 76ers trading to number 7 in the draft. What do you think about that?
I mean, going from number 3 to number 7, that's a big jump because, we all know, Cooper Flagg and Dylan Harper, they're kind of in their own tier. But then after that, it kind of gets murky. I mean, you got Ace Bailey, VJ, Knipple, Malawach, Trey Johnson, all of that. So, I mean, it kind of depends on what the order will be by the time you get to number 7. The fact that, let's just say the first 4, it's Flagg, Harper, VJ, or Ace. Those are the first 4. So then you only have number 5 and number 6 to wait for until you get to number 7. So if Knipple and Malawach get picked, then you get Trey Johnson. Or if Trey Johnson maybe jumps up, or maybe you have an opportunity to draft Malawach or Knipple. And I mean, at that point, depending on what the Pelicans could give you in a potential offer, and I'm not gonna lie, Eastwood, I don't know if you agree, but they do have some really intriguing players that I think that can help the Sixers now and in the future. And I mean, if you have number 7, because it is a really good draft class, you're still going to get a player with a good amount of potential. Maybe not, an Ace Bailey, VJ Edgecombe level of potential, but still someone who, you never really know at the end of the day. But it's still a really good draft class, and you could get a lot of value. But I think it depends on what the Pelicans are going to offer you and what that baseline is. And
it's going to matter if Daryl Morey knows who those players are, because we could go back to the pre-Ben Simmons trade where he on the radio was quoted saying, Sixers fans want me to trade Ben Simmons for random NBA players. And the trade package that he was talking about, or at least rumored to be talking about, was Tyrese Halliburton, Buddy Hield, Harrison Barnes for Ben Simmons, Tobias Harris. And so I don't even know if Daryl Morey knows who those guys are. It seems like he knows how to draft and he knows NBA stars from 10 years ago. That's what it feels like to me. And I'm downplaying his basketball knowledge. He knows what's going on. But I think what I mean by that is, are they underrated probably by Daryl Morey? He knows who they are. Are they underrated by Daryl Morey? The two players you're talking about, I would assume, are Trey Murphy, Trigger Trey, who's a 6'8", 3-and-D wing
Herb
who can
Jones.
just get buckets, and Herb Jones,
Herb Jones,
who is a 6'7", 3-and-D wing who 2 years ago, Herb Jones 2 years ago, when the Pelicans had an actual season versus, last season when they ended up tanking more than half of the season away. 2 years ago when they were actually competing, he was first team all defense and shot 42% from three at 24 years old. And he's 6'7" with a 7-foot wingspan. Herb Jones is literally the perfect 3-and-D player. He is the perfect 3-and-D player. Lockdown, first team all defense, 42% from three, 6'7", 7-foot wingspan. If you draft a guy, I think you would be happy if Ace Bailey even became Herb Jones. Like, if he doesn't become a star, you'd be like, he became a really good defensive catch and shoot guy.
Well, Eastwood, I understand Herb Jones, but Trey Murphy, that's the exact Ace Bailey type of build. Yeah. 6'8", just shoots, is just willing to chuck it. I think he had 8 3-point attempts last season, shooting 36% on 8 attempts. That's decent. And he shot 40% on 5 attempts on catch and shoot threes. So, remember we used to say when it came to Donovan Mitchell being available, that's Tyrese Maxey fast forwarded. That's sort of what I'm getting. I'm kind of getting those vibes with Trey Murphy and Ace Bailey. They do have that same archetype, but Trey Murphy is just the perfect stretch for the Sixers. And in my opinion, I'm fine if they try and trade either of those. If the Pelicans are no, we definitely don't want to trade Herb Jones, but we will give you Trey Murphy, if you're willing to slide us that number 3 pick. Well, and we'll also give you number 7, of course. I think that's something the Sixers definitely need to look at, because Trey Murphy, he is 24, and I think Maxey's 24, 25. He fits Maxey's timeline more than Ace Bailey does, and I think Jared McCain, he's 20, 21 or something, so he kind of fits McCain's too. I think if you can get Trey Murphy, really good, still a good amount of potential. He is 24. The Pelicans were not good, but he averaged 21 points, solid rebounder too. So he fits all those all the needs the Sixers currently have. But you could also get maybe Kaman Malawach falls at number 7, and then you have your center for the future too. You have all of that. You have shooting, interior defense, size, rebounding. That checks all the boxes. Or you could just pick Ace Bailey if you're betting on his potential.
Yeah, if I'm the Pelicans, I'm not trading Trey Murphy. If I want to rebuild, if I want to get rid of Zion, if I want to I don't.
Well, that's the thing. The Pelicans don't want to. I think Joe Dumars said that they want to stick with Zion, moving forward. Ever since he became the head of the Pelicans.
Yeah, they said they had a conversation. They were we had a lengthy conversation about, hanging out with porn stars. And he said he's not going to do it anymore. So, come on, bro. That's like John Morant telling you he's not going to pull out a switch in a strip club anymore, man. It's going to happen again.
Bobby, that's the direction. So I guess from their viewpoint, it's all right, I guess we have Zion. He had some issues to start his career, but he still is, when he is, committed, one of the best players in the league. And if we can pair him up with another top prospect, maybe we're building something here. Or I guess that's sort of what will make that number 3 pick more desirable And if they think, hey, Herb Jones, really good role player, we love you, but we would rather have another pillar to build around, because I don't think, Herb Jones really has that sort of like star caliber type of
no, he doesn't have the score. He doesn't have the scoring
stealing.
ability.
Yeah. And Trey Murphy. Yeah, I mean, like Trey Murphy, you're kind of getting like he's 6'8". He's kind of like a tweener. Is he really a small forward? He's a really power forward. And we have Zion. Of course, his shooting is valuable, but positionally, there are some questions there. So if they are willing to gamble on that number 3 pick and give you Trey Murphy or Herb Jones, I think the Sixers, they should kind of consider that.
Yeah, I think the most likely scenario, and here's the stretch that I was thinking about Trey Murphy. It was like right when Zion went out again and the Pelicans should have been dead in the water. He went on an absolute tear, 3 games in a row, and upset 3 good teams at the time. And it was just unreal what that dude was doing in that 3-game stretch where he dropped 32, 40, and 41. He looked like a superstar in that stretch of games. And at 24 years old, if I'm the Pelicans, I'm betting on Trey Murphy. I'm not trading him for anything. And so if you're going to trade one of Herb Jones or Trey Murphy, I'm trading Herb Jones. And that is where Sixers Nation posted on Twitter, would you trade the number 3 pick and Lonnie Walker for the number 7 pick and Herb Jones? See, I would love for, first of all, Lonnie Walker, I mean, that's just would you trade the number 3 pick for 7 and Herb Jones? Like Lonnie, we just signed him out of the Euro League 3 weeks ago. He wasn't even in the NBA. It's not like the Pelicans are like, yeah, give us Lonnie Walker. You know what I mean? But yes is 54% right there. Would you trade the number 3 pick and Lonnie Walker to go down to 7 and get Herb Jones? Again, Herb Jones doesn't have the scoring ability that Trey Murphy has. He's not going to give you 30, 40-point games. He's a 3-and-D player who can catch and shoot at a high rate from 3 and is a first-team all-defense. I love Herb Jones. I think he's a piece that a lot of teams want, man. It's almost an Alex Caruso with a bigger, longer wingspan and a better catch-and-shoot 3, to be honest with you. But I'm saying yes to that because I hate that. I hate that because I don't want to pass on Ace Bailey. But if I can get Herb Jones at just 25 years old right now, and I get the 7 pick, I think I'm taking Herb Jones in the 7 pick for number 3. I think that is a trade down scenario that I wouldn't be mad at. If it was offered and they passed on it, I also wouldn't be mad at it. I don't want to make that clear. If they just stay and draft Ace Bailey, I love that too. But if they were gonna trade down, I would not be mad at this at all. And I would probably personally take Kaman Maluach at number 7.
Oh yeah.
And now we're cooking with chicken grease. Now we got a 7'2", 20-year-old center to bring up through the development. And I think that's what I would do. And I think that's who I would pick at 7 also. What do you think?
I think there's some good reasons as to why you would make that trade. Number 1, it's what we learned throughout the past couple of seasons. You don't need these massive, like, star-studded super teams anymore. You sort of just need a competitive team that will be healthy and can go on a run and, make some timely runs, hit some timely shots. And, like the Pacers, you're in the finals. They have a really good, well-constructed roster. No one really considers that a super team, really. But you have just a good group of players who fit well next to each other and are durable. And with Ace Bailey, of course, he has that star potential, but how long are you willing to wait for that? When you have Tyrese Maxey coming into his prime, we have Jared McCain as well, continuing to develop. When what you could do is trade for Herb Jones. You have someone who could guard Tatum, who can guard Brunson, someone who can guard some of the best players in the league. And that is really valuable since the Sixers, they don't really have a premier lockdown defender. So if they can trade for Herb Jones, you would have someone who can do that job. And then you could also get Maluach too. And depending on Embiid's health and all of that, he could be a fantastic Derek Lively type of backup center for the Sixers. So you're kind of, it's that Daryl Morey approach of winning now. I think that's sort of a win now move. You get a premier defensive player who can also do stuff for you on the offensive end. We are also getting another prospect who could help you in the future. Is Maluach going to be like a star center or anything? I mean, who really knows? I mean, with that skill set, that size that he has, I mean, there is a lot to be impressed about. But then again, if you're just going with just taking Ace Bailey, that signals to me that you kind of want a full-scale rebuild. But if you are going to trade for Herb Jones, trade down, that signals to me we're still trying to compete. And if they're still trying to compete, I wouldn't be really upset with that. But like then again, like Embiid and Paul George's contracts, like even if you trade for Herb Jones, is that really going to be enough of a needle mover to account for that dead weight? So it's it's kind of a really like complicated, more complicated than we think, because there are a lot of risks in each scenario, but like a lot of really good outcomes with each scenario too. It's like you can't really go wrong, but there is one that, like, if you can imagine, oh wow, that really works out, like it will really work out. But if it doesn't, it doesn't. So I don't know. I mean, like, I wouldn't be surprised if Daryl Morey would try and make that type of move, because I don't think he's a GM that leaves anything out of the question. Like, he will leave, like any possibility, as long as there's the right deal, he's going to strike it. But I think the most likely outcome is that he's probably going to draft someone.
Yeah, definitely. I think so too. But if that was a trade down, I wouldn't be too mad at it. Somebody in the chat said, "Come on, Maluach," with laughing emojis. Listen, do you know the only player taller than 7'1" with athleticism, with shot blocking ability, with the only player taller than 7'1" who can jump, not named Wemby, in the last 10 years was Bol. Kaman Maluach has an insanely rare size and athletic ability. It's not talked about enough how insanely rare it is. The kid measured 7.5 feet bare feet at the combine. That is unheard of. And he can jump out he has a lot to learn too. He finished the Final Four game with 0 rebounds. I don't know how that's possible when you're 7'2". But he kind of, I think Kaman Maluach can serve you both ways. Whereas if you are past the Embiid era and you're ready to rebuild, there's a 7'2" center that can jump, and if he could just learn how to box out, he can be a really good center for a long, long time. And again, if the Sixers are contenders next year, if Joel Embiid is healthy, then you have the backup center that we always complain that we never have.
Sorry, Eastwood. I think you may have. I don't think I could hear you. I don't know if it's probably a problem on my end. My bad.
Oh, yeah, your mic changed. Your mic sounds different.
Oh, this is why. Okay.
Yeah, my fault.
Went over to.
Can you hear me now?
No, there you go. Yeah, we're good.
Oh, yeah. Like Maluach, like, yeah, he's not a Joel Embiid type of prospect. You know what I mean? Coming out of Kansas with level of coordination, his level of just pure skill. But the Sixers, they need a big basketball player at the center position. We have been trying this experiment of just not having a competent center not named Joel Embiid for years. And Mo Bamba, he's not going to be Mo Bamba. I mean, Mo Bamba, he was a beast at Texas, and he didn't pan out at all. I think Maluach, he's a lot stronger and a lot more, he knows his role. And I think he does his role well. He's not.
By the way, everybody, Maluach led South Sudan over the United States in the Olympic exhibition game. That was Kaman Maluach on the South Sudan team. Yeah, like, he's legit. He's a legit talent. This is not Mo Bamba.
Or, Bol. We understand that, the Bol, size is impressive, but we're not saying that he's going to, have this. Bol, he just has that size. He can't really do anything else. He's, of course, you want a player like Bol on your team, but of course, that's why he's been bounced around for so long. He just can't really do much. But Maluach, He doesn't have like a consistent 3-point shot or anything. He's not going to be like Brook Lopez coming out the gate, but he is a strong, fast, rim running center who can protect the paint. And yeah, like that was just one game in the Final Four. Like I don't think his rebounding, there's like any red flag there. I think if he has he's going to have a period to adjust to the NBA, but he will eventually figure it out. And I think with the Sixers, when you have Joel Embiid and his uncertainty, it makes sense to draft someone in his place.
Yeah, I agree. Brian, thanks for the super chat. If all these teams are desperate to trade up for Ace Bailey, why are we not comfortable taking him? We absolutely are comfortable taking him. I don't know who said we're not comfortable taking him. No one going up for VJ or Knipple. You're right. No, I mean, I don't know. There might be teams lower trying to trade up for VJ or Knipple, but yeah, I mean, we are perfectly comfortable taking Ace Bailey. Here's what I'm doing. I'm reading reports. Somebody said, why do they believe all these reports? I'm reading reports, and I'm just giving my opinion on the reports. That's exactly what I'm doing all off season. Somebody last year was like, bro, do you have any team insight at all, or do you just speculate every day? And I was like, bro, it's August. I'm sitting poolside making shit up. Yeah, I'm just reacting to stuff, dude. That's all. Realistically, the 76ers should draft Ace Bailey. They most likely draft Ace Bailey. I don't see a trade down happening, but I was just saying, if there was a trade down that would happen, I personally wouldn't be mad at Herb Jones in number 7, but I want Ace Bailey just as much as any Ace Bailey fan wants Ace Bailey.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not like totally like, oh my gosh, we need to draft Ace Bailey. Like, I'm definitely willing to explore those other options like VJ Edgecombe. I think Ace Bailey and VJ, I'd be fine at number 3. In all open honesty, like I understand the pros and cons of taking each player, and I don't think you could go wrong taking either player, because I'm in the mindset of the Sixers. They need to tear it down. I'm not expecting them to really compete. I wish I could, but it's been 10 years.
I think I wrote that down. I was gonna ask you that because the closer we get to the NBA season, I will start convincing myself that they're going to be healthy and they're going to be a contender. Because if, let me make the argument, just to make it, if Joel Embiid is healthy,
gotta make that a shirt, dude. I'm reminding you, got to make that a shirt.
And Paul George played 74 games for the Clippers the year before we signed him. He was healthy the whole season. He disappeared in the playoffs because he's the Michael Jordan of Tobias Harris is, but I don't want to rely on him anyway. But if Paul George is healthy, he still is one of the best 3-and-D wings in the game. He was the Clippers the year before we signed him. He was the best catch and shoot 3-point shooter in the entire NBA at 45%. And then he signs with the Sixers and sprains his knee the second preseason game. So it's just a curse that hits this team and an injury bug that we can't get rid of. And yeah, Paul George is 35. That has a lot to do with why he got injured so many times. But if you could get him, if we could just lucky and he could play 74 games like he did with the Clippers, then he's the Paul George we thought he was going to be. Then I'm not even that mad that they signed him. So
like Paul George, that makes sense. I'm not leaving out the possibility that Paul George has a bounce back year. In fact, I think he will. I think he will look a lot better if he heals up. But I do want to go to that first part with Embiid. We said that last year and the year before that. And the year before that. We've been saying that for 10 years. It's been 10 years. And I'm not trying to be like some Negadelphian, just like Debbie Downer all the time, but it's been 10 years. I think, Joel Embiid's health comes before anything else. You can have Paul George turn back into OKC Paul George. Well, I don't know. Maybe in that case, the Sixers might still be able to be a contender, but you could have Paul George be like his Clippers self. You could have Nick Nurse not play Geurschon Yabusele as center, or you could have Eric Gordon and Kyle Lowry like retire and have some more younger players, some more blood. You could have Ace Bailey maybe like be in contention with Cooper Flagg for Rookie of the Year, like be on Cooper Flagg's level maybe. And still, you're not going to contend at all because you don't have Joel Embiid healthy. He won MVP 2 years ago. When Joel Embiid goes down, the Sixers go down. The Sixers are nothing without Joel Embiid, and this organization failed him. And of course, Embiid he definitely has a lot of blame on him too, just for his inability to perform, especially in like elimination games. That 2023 Game 7 against the Celtics, that's like when him and Harden both completely just rolled over and died. Like that was kind of it for me, where I was like, I know I'm going to convince myself, but deep down, I know this isn't going to work. And
then he said that was Joel's post game where he said, "Me and James can't do it alone." And I was like, "Get the dude, that's not what we wanted to hear."
Like Embiid, this organization failed him, but at the same time, he gets injured too much. It just is what it is. We all know what he can do when he is capable of playing on a basketball court. It's just a ticking time bomb. It's not, it's not if, it's when. And if we saw throughout this, playoff run, the refs, like we all love to complain about them, but if there's one thing we can admit, the game has gotten more physical in the playoffs. I think year after year consistently, they are swallowing their whistles. And I don't know, just with the physicality and like the game, like the, stoppages occurring less and less, and just with the amount of hard playoff games you need to win to even get to the finals, will Embiid be able to sustain that? I don't know. And well, I do know he won't. And I know, like, it sucks, but it's been 10 years.
It's a good take. Even if he is healthy to start the season, you're absolutely right. The chances are he doesn't make the whole season again. So you're there also. You know what I mean? So, but like, I think this is a year though that is a turning point. I know every year I say that, but if it happens again, we gotta be done. It has to be done. You gotta retire. If it happens again,
that's what we said 2 years ago.
If it happens again, I am starting a protest for Joel Embiid to request a medical retirement. It's just, dude, you can't play. If you can't play, you can't play.
Yeah, he gave everything. Like, he could have been in a little bit better shape, like to start the season and stuff. And maybe that could have like helped the Sixers get into better playoff positioning, better seeding. Because the one time where the Sixers had an actual, because of course you have to beat good teams to, make it through the playoffs. But that playoff seeding, that home court advantage is really important. And like 2021, that was when, they were the first seed. They had, the Westbrook Wizards that they stomped. And then they had the Atlanta Hawks, who really weren't that good. Like they blew like a 26-point lead to them in Game 5 to like 85-year-old Lou Williams and Danilo Gallinari. And like series, even with Ben Simmons screwing up, even with Embiid's meniscus, like partial meniscus tear, they still should have won that series. Yeah, Kevin Huerter
went nuts,
exploiting the Seth Curry matchup every single time, and Doc Rivers like, it's all good. Come on, guys, just play harder. And then like just him like yelling at reporters for him not benching Ben Simmons when everyone was like, bro, it's 4-on-5. And then you go to 2020. Go ahead.
What is it about Joel Embiid that I just posted a clip of his rookie season highlights, or maybe his second season, on Instagram and TikTok, and it kind of blew up a little bit because he was in such good shape and he was so bouncy and quick. And what is it about Joel Embiid that he never got back into shape? He never did. We got to be honest about that. When you look at those early highlights, he never got back to that shape. And every offseason, we were like, look at Joel Embiid. He's slim. He lost 30. They said he lost 30 pounds last season. 30 pounds? No, he didn't. He's
30 pounds is a big difference.
He's the same every year. Every offseason, they say he lost 30 pounds, and he gets his diet together. And then when we see him, we're like, what did you do? You didn't do anything. He just, that meme where the guy just stepped back? It's like before and after.
He ain't do nothing but step back, yeah.
It's the same. Why can't he get back into shape, man? Oh, my God.
Like, a lot of it's like Markelle Fultz elbows you in the face. Siakam elbows you in the face. You get Bell's palsy. Like, I think a lot of it is just freak injury. You know what I mean? It's like anything that would happen to anyone. But like, I guess he's just always been, he's been like trained to like fall on the ground and stuff like that. I think it's been enough. I think 10 years, is enough to know that it's not working out, but I have no idea he's going to trade for him.
The average 7-footer in the NBA retires at 30 years old. So he's already past the average 7-footer retirement age. People don't seem to know that. People, this whole like, oh, let's take a leap year. I remember when we were like, dude, we're taking a leap year. We're taking a gap year. I was like, there's no gap year with Joel Embiid, right? This guy's aging in dog years, bro. You can't waste time. We take gap years with a player like Joel Embiid. We took him for granted. We assumed that he was just gonna be playing forever, and now it's like he's at the end of his career. I really think he is. Sadly, I hope to God, I hope to the basketball gods that he proves me wrong this upcoming season. But there's no reason. I think I agree with you. There's no real reason to believe that he's gonna be healthy.
I mean, do you think like it's because the Sixers, they just hit rock bottom? Like because like this season was just such a complete disaster. Is that enough for it to be a turning point? Or I don't know, like it's been 10 years.
I like this team by Jason 18, man. Thank you for the super chat. I like this take. He said, come on, we raced for Ace almost all season. There's no other option. We need Paul George to play well and Embiid to somehow be serviceable. But yeah, we tank. When you talk about trading down and the possibility of trading down, I agree with Jason here. The Sixers didn't tank as hard as they tanked, as shamelessly as they tanked. I mean, they were resting Quentin Grimes. That's how hard they tanked. They were resting a guy that they just traded for because he was scoring too many points. He dropped like 40 points against the Rockets, and like we lost that game, went to double overtime. I mean, like when it comes to tanking, no one does it like the Sixers. So they didn't tank that hard to then trade down in the draft. I think you're right.
Yeah,
they tanked to try to get up as high as they can. And Ace Bailey's the guy. But, we're not going to know for 2 more weeks now. So prepare everyone for 2 more weeks of speculation right here on Run It Back Philly. I will be reacting to every report or trade scenario that is out there. If this is called farming content, and that's what I'm doing.
What you got to do.
Anyway, yeah, man. NZ, thanks again for coming through, man. This was a blast, always a blast. Thank you, everyone, for coming through and being active in the chat. Anything else you want to say before we get out of here?
I can't wait for the draft. I think something's going to happen. Like, we know number 1 and number 2, but it's either something that has to do with the Sixers or not to do with the Sixers. Like the Giannis situation, like I feel like there are a lot of more teams that are being rumored to get him, like the Raptors and the Knicks now. That can be huge. Like Kevin Durant, did you see that report where it's like pretty much confirmed that he's going to be traded?
Yeah.
And like it's like most likely going to be before the draft. So that's good. It's definitely going to be a really eventful night.
I think Durant is Houston.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. They definitely need they need a number 1.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting, man. It's gonna be an interesting draft. We have no idea what's gonna happen. Well, yeah, thanks for coming through, NZ, and thank you for everyone for coming through. Hit the like button for us. Subscribe to NZ for 3's YouTube channel. He does good work over there on the Sixers, and we'll see you guys next time.
Peace.